Let's see. It's gonna be my first live. Let me just figure out how to turn this off. It's gonna be my first live stream that has not been announced. Let's see if anybody's gonna join here. Hello, hello. I figured we are going to do something a little bit different. I've never done an impromptu live stream, but I'm down here in my coral shop, and I figured this would be a cool way to show you guys and girls what has been cooking in my farm. I'm actually going to see if I can position it a little bit differently where you can actually see some of that sweet coral. Let's see. Okay, let me make sure there's a little bit of light, as that would help. And this would be a cool opportunity to answer some of your questions. Okay, I'll turn this off. I want to make sure that you can hear me. Come back to this so I can actually see what everybody is typing, and I will show you a few a few things that I've been focusing on here at the coral farm. So I've been doing some coral inspection, coral gluing, and I usually show videos of whatever is going on in one of my display tanks. But this is going to be something quite different. I actually want to do a different type of live stream today and answer some of your questions about coral, specifically stuff that I grow. There's actually multiple aquariums here, and I will show all of them here in this video. Maybe let's actually see what's going on here. We've got okay, so there's 3 systems in my coral farm. There's the big one right over here. This is my 6 feet by 3 feet system, and it's about 15 inches high. You can see it's full stock of coral. So this is system number 1. Number 2 is this guy here. This is my system number 2, and they're actually quite different. I've made some significant changes to both systems, and I think I'm going to cover this in today's video. And then there is the 3rd system, which is right over here. And then finally, there is a 4th system, which you can see in my sump right here. And maybe you'll get a sneak peek at who's living down there, because this is actually somebody who's quite interesting. But before we're going to do this, oh, I think I've got some white residue. I'm going to see if I can improve the camera viewing a little bit for you so that you can see things. Yeah, I think this will work. And okay, I'll do this in a second. So we've got 14 people here, which is cool. Hello, NSB Reefs. Mr. Yagi, hey, was it hard to commit to starting a coral farm? So, okay, this is gonna be a cool live Q&A, but I really want to show some of the stuff with my coral farm as well, because there's some really cool things that took me a while to realize and correct to this. But so first, feel free to ask questions in the chat, and I'll answer them. So, Mr. E. Yagi is asking, was it hard to commit to starting a coral farm? Yes, I kind of got into it not by accident, but more of a happenstance. I think COVID has definitely been a big push over to for this, and it was a big influence, and it was an interesting opportunity. So, but I always wanted one. I'm located here in Toronto, Canada, and I was always fascinated, first of all, with the stores around here, but also quite a few stores here started out as like small basement coral farms, or like I remember, visiting March. So at Fragbox, now Fragbox is, probably one of the best stores here in Toronto, as well as in Canada, but it was not the same. Before, I mean, he was just he was a first of all a reefer, just like probably yourself, and then slowly he kind of got into running from the garage. This is where I remember coming over there, but and then eventually he got into the store that he's in right now. However, there was a guy, Alejandro Alzate. So he was a good friend of mine, and he probably was the biggest influence for me getting into the into this, because I just got into saltwater after doing freshwater for a while. I mean, it's in my blood. Everything that has to do with aquariums, and I remember. So he was at Young and Shepherd, sorry, Bayview and Shepherd location, and coming over to his house and then going to the basement. So like it's a regular house, beautiful house, all on the main floor. You would never think anything twice, just driving past it. But then you go in and he would take you to your basement. And first of all, blue light. So blue light everywhere. And then you start seeing, holy smokes, there's just like one big display tank. I can still remember every single tank that he had there. And that was over 10 years ago. And this was probably the biggest influence. I remember, wow, like, I mean, there's a display tank and a lot of us have that, but having a farm or a place where it's really not about, fish, but it's more about the coral, and you can pick up and examine every single coral the same way that I can do over here. That was incredible. Like that was something that I knew right then that I wanted to experience. Let's see if that will make it a little bit better. I really wanted to do that. And so I got into a coral farm. I always kept some frags before, so I've been doing this for over 10 years, even just in different tanks that I had. I had small coral farms, but then I always wanted something big. I wanted something that is stable, that I don't run out of space, where I can keep big tanks. And then I had my first tank built, which is you can see on the left of me. This is one I showed in the beginning of the stream. Then it started to grow. I got into the second tank, which I've plumbed into here. This is my second tank. And then there was the third tank that's plumbed into the system. And then there's also a display tank that's called Treasure Reef that is also plumbed into the system. So this system, let me see if I can put on the light. Pretty awesome, huh? all of the tanks are one system, and it's so much fun. So I do like it. So I got into this not because of this being a business. This is definitely, I don't think of it as a business yet. Maybe down the line it will be, but my primarily goal is um, learning more about coral, really creating the conditions that will allow me to get further in the color, in the health of the coral. And there's just so many things I've learned over the years that really surprised me in terms of um, coral keeping, but also how hard it is, because it's a completely different ball game than to be keeping a display tank. Display tank is frustrating, but this can be 5 times more frustrating. And again, I can give you a lot of examples of my daily frustrations. That's actually one of the reasons I've started this live stream right now, is because I figured, I spend a fair bit of my hours down here in the farm, and I think it would be pretty cool to actually show people around and maybe share some of my issues and maybe some successes. So hopefully that answers your question. Straight ufo straight-footed sauce. Okay, interesting name. Have you ever put Prezi Pro in your display reef tank, or known anyone who has done that? So Prezi Pro, my understanding is that this is something that you use during fish quarantine, primarily to quarantine I think it's the flukes and some of the other parasites. It's not about the ick, but the other stuff. And I know that it will make your skimmer go completely nuts. Also, you need to have it longer term. I don't know if anybody who's done that to their display tank that has corals. If you don't have corals, it's a different story. I think you can do it. But if you do have corals, then you might reconsider that, because first of all, why are you doing that? Sounds like it's a lot of water volume and probably not worth it. And I'm not sure how good it is for corals, but I don't know if anybody, and I wouldn't do it myself. Hopefully that answers your question. Where are you from originally? Artur Reef. Originally, I was born in Leningrad, probably the best city on earth, St. Petersburg, Russia. And I've been living in Toronto for more than half of my life. So basically, I'm born in St. Petersburg, Russia. Hopefully that answers your question. Yes. Oh, we've got Molo. Yes. So, a few things. This weekend, there is a coral show in Niagara, but they don't call it Niagara Coral Show. And, oh yeah, Candyman has read my thoughts and asked that particular question. I am attending the show, and I will be. You might find me there with this little thing that I make myself. This is the little plaque in 3D printed. So I do this. By the way, I do all of these visors here as well, so that there's no light that's hitting my eyes. I have them all around. It's all available at treasurecorals.com. But yes, I will be going there, and I'll be showing off a lot of my 3D printed stuff. So there's quite a selection of things, as well as I will be. So for example, see this egg crate here? So the legs, I make these legs. This is my own design. And the really cool thing about it is that if you look from the top, all the cells are usable. So I can actually put frag right here, And if you have an egg crate in your tank, and this is actually, it can be different lengths, I can take the leg out and I can clean it, or I can upgrade to taller legs. We can do like really short ones and all the way up to 5 or 6 inches. And then it just snaps back in. It's not going anywhere. It's very utilitarian, and I use it for all of my frag systems, but not only. There's another version that I've designed, but also like if I'm fragging this, or if I need to raise a skimmer, this is pretty awesome. So, for example, if I deliver corals to any of the local stores, I have this container from IKEA, and inside of this container, all the frags will go on to something very similar. So this is just a typical egg crate, and I can pick it up. I can place it anywhere I want. This is pretty awesome. So this is something I make myself, and it's all on treasurecorals.com website. But I will also be bringing my coral, and there's a lot of coral, as you can see, different varieties. I do SPS, LPS, softies, and I'm having a lot of fun with that as well. Okay, we've got tons of questions. Woo! Molo, yes. Do you know that what Demo ran his total light output, specifically acro tank? I know he showed the channels, but never mentioned total light output. So Arthur, I don't understand the question. If you looked at the last video that actually aired this Sunday, we have 2 par meters and walked around and used them both. And I think I've shown when we started off with his tanks, this is what he usually runs about. So he runs about 7.5, 8 hours of that strong light, and it's available for downloads on my site and on YouTube channel. And this is what he runs it at. So you can see that his acros have been cooking under that light, which, by the way, I'm gonna show in a second what's going on with my corals, because based on some of his kind of setup, as well as my observations, I've figured I will change a few things up in my tank. What's up, Big Dog? Says HBC chemistry. Whoop whoop. Exactly. So, talk about your quarantine process. Okay. Maybe. So this is going to be a lot of show and tell, and I think this is going to be pretty awesome. Okay, let's see if I can switch the camera, so now you can actually see my stuff. I'm going to also make sure that you can see things under beautiful. Ooh, yeah, I like it. All right, now we are talking. So let me see if I can clean lens. I think my lens is pretty clean. There was a little bit of other issues. So, but chat viewing option, live chat. Okay. Okay, I'm getting a little bit better at this. So I'm actually now can see all of your comments right on my unit that I'm showing. Okay, so I was asked about the QT process. So I actually shot a whole video about it, but I think I'm gonna show you what's going on here right now. So this is really small confines. I don't have a lot of space here, and this is my quarantine process right here. You've got, let's see if I can show you a little bit better. So it's 2 systems. I haven't cleaned the glass, and I'll explain. I'm actually going to throw this tank out most likely. And I have a little bit bigger tank, but the cool thing about it, and I shot a whole video about this one. You see those 2 lines? So this is what is my automatic water change from my 2 systems that goes into here, and then it overflows from here using that little overflow box, gets down into my fish quarantine system, and then from here it drains. So I don't actually run any skimmer on this thing, and I have one little tank here. Come on. I've been so busy with my other tanks that I have completely neglected cleaning this one, but whatever is in there, it seems to be doing all right. There's nothing really. I haven't really gotten anything new as of late, but I hope that this shows you what my quarantine system looks like. Let's go back and I'll show you some of my other stuff. So, but let me see first what people are saying. So, is there a way to add pH to the parameters in your app? pH is already there, NSB Reefs. So, and if not only that, my pH is automatically hooked up to my Apex. So, for those of you who don't know, I am the creator of the best app. It's aquaticlog.com, and this is me right over there. So this app has been created by myself, and I use it daily for all of my parameters. So let me see let me show you. So this is my app right here. This is something called Aquatic Log. It's free for one aquarium, and more than one. There's a yearly or there's a lifetime price. I think that it took me a while to figure out how the way to price it, but my point is that if you, I'm just making everything free, so you can use one app with all the parameters and everything, no problem. If you have more than one aquarium, I think you can afford paying, not even a subscription, you can pay a one-time fee, whatever. So, but I do this. This is, you can actually go online to aquaticlog.com, put in treasure corals or treasure reef, and you can actually see my tanks, and you'll see all of my parameters, and I got my reminders. This is things that I need to do. This is my measurements, and somewhere there's going to be pH. Where is it? I think I've, right here, pH 7.96. So this was taken a while ago, and I think for that day I actually didn't have my calc reactor up and running. That's why it's so low. But here we are. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see, live chat. Oh my goodness, lots of questions. Peter, thank you. Your order. Thank you for your order. I actually messed it up, and I packed it up today, or started packing, thinking that I didn't mess up, but I was thinking I was going to send it to you, and I would be able to get it before 3 p.m. so that it'll be at your place tomorrow. But it was too late. So this is your corals right there. These three guys, and one of the anemones over there is going to be yours as well. Whatever, right now they're a little bit smaller because they are going to sleep, which is, as you may notice, this tank is already off. I'm using something called staggered lighting, so this one is already up and running and turned off for the night. This one will turn off maybe in the next half an hour, and then this one will be next. This is so awesome. I should have done that earlier. Okay, so let's see what is going on here. Live chat. Welcome to live chat. There's more questions. Okay. Brandon Rhodes, hey Brandon, asks, do you have to climate control your farm? If so, what goes into that? So I don't climate control. but I have the HRV. So my HRV is right over there, and I wouldn't do that without this beautiful device. So basically, this is where I control, and it's actually plumbed in directly into this room over here. So I am very particular about my measurements, and you can see my CO2 is perfect. My humidity is pretty good, 44, and my temperature. So everything is nice and the way it's supposed to be. And this is my little wall of different elements, different things I dose, as well as, again, so you see all of those caddies. This is something that I make, and you can see them on treasurecorals.com. Why did I make them? Because it started off with this little unit over here, which, if you know the way it's being shipped, this blue bottle is always on the side, and it would always leak. Also, this, okay, let me actually show you right here. Also, this, see how clean these things are? That's because, and I don't do any cleaning inside. It's because they are pointing down. There is just enough air for everything to escape. This is separate, and this is the only way that I'm ever going to use beautiful HANA products. So I have every one of them. So even pH now. So there's calcium, phosphate. Again, it's going to fit all of your, like the whole new box is going to fit in here. Nitrate, copper, magnesium, and everything under the sun. Okay, let's see what other questions are there. Live chat. Okay, I gotta figure out which way the chat is going, but okay. Will you have cheaper prices at the show? I'd like a few pieces. Candyman, drop by and you'll see what I am offering. Also, with a name like Candyman, you should go to Candy Corals, who is going to be right next to me. Did you get a pH bump with the HRV? I certainly did, but just in general, I'm very particular about my CO2. I want to say that I was actually probably one of the first people in the hobby that got the CO2 meter, and I shot a video about it, and then later on everybody started talking about it. But yes, I always try to make sure that my CO2 is within norm. Looking to start a farm in the next year or two. Brandon, you should start a farm, but brace yourself. This is a very frustrating process. So you have to really love doing this, because otherwise it sucks. Okay, how did I plumb all the tanks together? Well, I've got two vectors. This is M2, so I don't even use L2. So and yet it's pushing all the way up to the second, just maybe 12 feet up, and I have no problem with the flow. But there's two of them. One of them comes up and gets into this tank over here, which right now is not running. Overflows back into the sump. Boom, 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 boom. Runs over, and then I have it split. Where do I have it split? I have it split right over there. So this is not Jason Fox level stuff, but it is pretty intense. And I did all of that plumbing myself. So I am the only one to blame. But I've got being animals on every one of the tanks. So basically there's a return coming here, comes up here and splits. So there is one that comes into this tank, and then there's one that comes into this tank over here. And then it overflows back, the other one overflows back. And you may see that I also have one more vector, which is the one that runs this line over here up into my treasure reef, and then it overflows and it comes up right over here and it comes down into the main tank. So hopefully that will answer your question. Oh my goodness. Live chat. Let's see the questions. Reef Echo! Oh, hey, how's it going, man? It's been a while. Looking great. What kind of power are you putting on your actors in the frag tank? So, for anybody who has not yet seen the video that I posted on Sunday, I highly recommend you do it, because this is the one that actually shows you that Demo is running easily 600 par on his acro tank, and I've been a convert ever since. So I was kind of running more in the 200 to 300 par before, but slowly I've been actually ramping it up, and I actually find that with my T5 setups before, the tank just looked brighter. So I don't know what it is about LEDs, but with LEDs, the tanks do look a little bit darker, unless you like really cranking it up. But basically, this tank here, I run it around 400 par, 450 easily. And you know what? I started doing that even before the video, but I've kind of been cranking it up. Things starting to look pretty decent. So there's some acros over here. Now, it's still not where I want it to be, but I think I've really got it dialed in right now. And look at that. The forest fire is now starting to show polyps. It wasn't showing for a while. I also have some awesome fish here. I've got the clown tank right over here, which is phenomenal. So this is great. So this is my system. Live chat. Let's see what else we are asking. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the regular. Appreciate the encouragement. I do anticipate trouble and plan to start slowly. Have any resources that you recommend for getting started? Yes. Start by looking at my channel. I have documented all of my trial and tribulations weekly. And I try to always show both sides of the hobby. I'm not the one to only show the fancy videos of how awesome things look, but I will also show you when I have a disaster. And it's just part of the hobby, unfortunately. So definitely have had my share of those. And who knows, maybe there's going to be more. I keep that towel nearby for two reasons. One is there's always something to clean up, but also I'm also always ready to throw in the towel. So you never know when the day will come. But when you lose 80% of your coral, which I once did when I was moving systems, that was very frustrating. And a lot of times those things could be avoided, but I, for some reason, managed to make mistakes and sometimes repeat mistakes. So the more I am keeping coral, the more I understand a few things. One, if you have a tendency to rush into things, do not, and maybe take a pause and not make any changes. Because a lot of times, you know, I'm the kind of person that I want to make that hole. I'm gonna go in. I'm probably gonna make it fairly quickly, and then I'm going to regret it, kind of thinking, oh man, I should not have done it there. Or I want to take the sand out. I will take the sand, and then I'm gonna go like, oh man, maybe I should not have done it immediately. So, or I want to dose something, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get iodine because Abe on Coral Euphoria said, "Oh, I drop like 4 of those every day into my tank. Oh man, these corals are looking amazing, so I'm gonna go and do something similar." And unfortunately, this is where problems will abound. So don't do that. And then the second thing is I'm starting to understand more and more the value of observation. So again, it might be more personal, but I think I'm drawn to new projects. I'm always, you know, give me. Oh, I got somebody calling me. I'm gonna say no. Um, what I was gonna. I'm the kind of person that will go in um, and try to build a new tank. Like I love building new tanks. I love putting the sand in and watching, introducing the first couple of fish, and then adding more coral. Like that's just my thing. I always fancied that. And whenever people come over, like when my friends come over, or people that don't know much about the coral, they kind of go, "Oh man, this is like so exciting! You've got a beautiful display tank. You're probably just kind of sitting there and admiring it, and just enjoying and having your glass of wine or coffee, and just kind of soaking it in." And I don't do that for multiple reasons. First of all, there's no time, but also I get very bored. Like I can't look at that painting for more than 2 minutes. Like after that, I would rather talk to somebody about the tank. I would rather explain something. I would rather maybe have somebody come over with their fresh set of eyes and then start giving me some advice, or kind of going, "Hey, you know, you see that coral in the back there? You see it's a little bit bleached," and I'm like gonna go, "Oh man, yes, it is. I just never noticed it." And then, or when they will point out that this fish is doing something that it shouldn't be doing. This is, you know, I love that type of stuff, and this is very rewarding. However, since I don't do that, I find that this is probably my biggest flaw, and that is going back to seeing something that you've seen numerous times before, and this time, um, and this time, um, asking us, observing, actually observing your tank, observing, letting it meditatively take it all in, and figuring out what I can improve upon it, or listening to a coral. So if you look at some of the videos that I've done with some other reefers, you know, the first person that comes to mind is Nathan. Like this is the guy that you know, moved things around and looks at this coral, and then, you know, if this coral doesn't like it there, he's gonna take his time and move it over here, and then look at it for another 2 months, and then see that the shade has changed a little bit. I'm a lot more. Um, I like more technical approach. I want to automate things. I want to maybe build some sort of a system that will take photos and compare and then tell me this. Like this is just how my mind works. But I know that this is something that I have to be doing more and more on my tank, and I found that to be the most, probably the most rewarding thing as well. Because if you can actually dedicate some time and walk around and do look at and listen at your listen at your corals, or like look at them and take it in. I think this is where the real fruit of your labor will come, because in this is where you will notice when something is wrong and you can kind of prevent it. I still and I did ask Demo at the time, so I still am puzzled sometimes where, like, if I see a coral going a little bit too pale, I still don't know what to do. Like, I mean, I feel like, do I need to, move it away from highlight? But if you've ever had a coral fall down and under the rock, or maybe under a frag rack and stayed there, um, you will notice that it's also, um, as a matter of fact, starting to go pale. So leaving it with even less light, not necessarily the case. And somebody just said Apio nutrients, have a pretty high level of nutrients. And again, you can see all of them on aquaticlog.com. If you go there, search for treasure reef, and you'll see all of my parameters. So, but I think this is time to answer some of your questions. For Reef Echo, so I have just shown my humidity/CO2 monitor, and my humidity is at 40%. So like I never really have any issues, never had any issues with that. So I have very good ventilation in this room over here. Brandon is asking, is coral farming your primary work? No, I kind of do this on a weekend and maybe sometimes in the evenings. I like doing it. I'd like for this to, I like the fact that it helps me fund this hobby, because this is a very expensive hobby, and I appreciate everybody who's supporting treasurecorals.com. But I also do, like I said, not only coral, but lots of dry goods, which I design myself. So I actually have a very large high-end 3D printing farm. So I don't do enders, and if you know anything about 3D printers, I actually use like top of the line Prusa, and everything that I design is goes through multiple levels of iteration. Like, it may look simple, but it is far from simple. Like I said, look at how clean that vial is, and I don't do anything to keep it clean. I'm just, it's a well designed product. I also have this, which I use daily. Oh my goodness, somebody just placed an order on treasurecorals.com during this live stream. Okay, thank you very much. I also take super chats. I've never, I think I had it once, but I just want to say that this I also designed. Nothing like this, in my opinion, is out there. This took over 20 iterations of just designing, 3D printing, using it, and then doing it again and again and again. Like, the soft tips, all of that stuff, whatever. But the way it feels in my hand, like it floats in the water, all of that good stuff. But the way it feels, the ribs, which is great if you're using gloves the way I do, which, by the way, I want to go on a little tangent about gloves in a second. But anyways, I do all of this. I dog food. I believe in all of the products that I make. So you see those visors behind me. I would never use a Radian or a Hydra without those visors. Now there's the wraparound visors as well, but it depends. They are awesome, and I have them everywhere. But gloves. Let's switch topic. Enough of treasure corals promotion. why do I use gloves? This is actually a pretty interesting story, in my opinion, and let that be a warning to anybody who got into the hobby maybe in the last couple of years. It's 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 actually a pretty scary story. So always have kept fish and coral my entire life, and sorry, fish, freshwater. But then I kind of got into saltwater, and saltwater was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I did coral almost immediately. You know, every weekend, go to some store, pick it up. Hello to CU Marine and Ken. So you know, Big Al's, you name it. And every weekend, so every week I just work with coral. I frag coral. I move them around, all of that good stuff. And then after a while, just like starting to feel, especially on my thumb started to go red. So I've never really could figure out, but like the tips of my fingers started to uh, change color. Something was really strange going on with them, and I um, couldn't really figure out what was going on. I tried a few, you know, like I've tried carrying after my fingers, nothing helped. And eventually, okay, you got to see a doctor. So a doctor, he sent me to a dermatologist. I have a standing appointment with a dermatologist. Like it takes 2 months to get one here in Toronto. So I'm in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And waiting for a dermatology appointment, still doing coral, still, you know, fragging, having fun, going to other people's houses, we chat, doing all of this. And then I'm going to Thang. So Thang is a well-known figure here. GTA Reef, shout out to Thang and his lovely farm. Um, he's got now a proper store, but back then he did not. And I would still go to him and buy a few frags, and you know, coming over, we chat, having fun, and then I pick a few corals and ask him to bag them for me. So he started doing that, and he's kind of reaching down for the gloves. So you know, whatever. And I look at his fingers, and his fingertips are exactly like what I have with mine. Like they just look horrible. Like there is like red, sorry thing, but they did at the time. They're like red, and there's like some white. So just not he's not doing very well with the fingers. And I ask like, what's going on? I have the same thing. He goes like, well, he just came back from a dermatology appointment. This is coral. So basically, he saved me a trip to a dermatologist because some people, including myself, unfortunately, develop a reaction to coral. So one of the things, Brandon, about coral farming is it's maybe a surprise, but you like some people develop this thing. It takes a while. Like I mean, the first couple of years, I had no problem. I was handling everything, and there was never any issues. And you may see a lot of people, you know, lift up corals and do that, but after a while, I developed that condition. So luckily, my fingers are beautiful now, so there's no issues there, but that's because I almost never um, put like touch coral, and I handle coral daily or close to daily, a few times per week. I always put the gloves, so I buy gloves in bulk and I put them on. I will then use sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I use a rubber band to just kind of the water still seeps through after a while, but it's gives enough protection where it's not an issue. I always wash my hands afterwards, and That is basically what happened, and it's the most upsetting thing in my opinion because you've this is something that you love doing, and it's also and now you can't. This is like if you work in I don't know, a chocolate factory and you cannot eat chocolate, or uh, many analogies, but that's what happened to me. So and it creeps up on you, and then it gets worse. So, and even right now, for example, if I touch a coral, even right over here, like especially even like a green slimer, it doesn't have to be like a euphilia. I will get a like a burn. It will go away maybe within a few hours or a day, but it just something I have to be very careful so that I don't brush up against that coral. So that's my little story when it comes to my experience with gloves. Hongwei says 0.0. I don't know what that refers to, but maybe you can explain. And Liotti says that's kind of scary with the hands. Yes, it is. Yes, 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 it is. So, Hongwei says hi to me. So, yes, hi to you as well. Oh, that was fun. That was a that's a fun little live stream. I think I might be doing this fairly regularly now. I'll try to, and I'll kind of maybe pretty this up a little bit because right now it's very you just don't see beautiful tanks behind me. Also, kind of doing it a little bit late in the day where my lights are off. So, as I was saying, remember when I started that today's video, my tank, this tank on the left was already off, and then this tank was still kind of on, but it's now turning off, and then there is another one on my right that is still going. Let's take a little peek right here, which is pretty awesome. This is I call it a showcase tank. So it's pretty awesome. I've positioned it where you don't see any pumps, and then there's beautiful flow. And well, should I show you something? Maybe I should show you. I'll need the gloves for that one. So you know what's coming. Okay, I'll show you. Feel like a doctor. How much that goes into a farm setup? How much that goes into a farm set? Brendan, I'm not sure I understand your question yet. Maybe you can clarify. All right, glove is on. I want to show you something that I've been working on for close to a year now. So in the beginning of the video, I have shown, the legs. So the legs have been it's a staple now in almost every Ontario and Canada store. Everybody's got my legs because they are awesome for all those things. And I have them in where I used to have them everywhere here, but I've been working on something completely different. And maybe I'll show just a little preview of what that is. So let me switch the camera. Whew. Okay, so this is what I call a modular design. So instead of you cutting out a crate to a certain dimensions, you actually assemble this from this little block. So there's this squares that connect together, and you can see from the top. So you actually have two layers of that. And hold on a sec. Done. Yes. Sorry. So they all connect, and you can see over here, for example, in this tank, I have many more of those squares. So you can see there's a few that are empty because but they are all locked in. So it's actually a stable, super stable, very advanced frag rack that I've designed myself. Like this, there's nothing like this out there. And I've got that in my other tank as well. So you see everything here, this is all connected, and it can grow as your farm grows. So I only have it kind of going halfway, and right now the rest of the farm doesn't have it. But everything here is modular. You can change it. You can do an L shape. You can remove them. You can do whatever you want. This is right over here. You can actually see it has legs. The legs actually twist in, so you can again have different heights of legs. But right now, I think this is about 3 inches in terms of the height. And the cool thing about it, why did I design it this way, is two things. One is I can customize it to any tank shape I want, but then I can use regular crate, and I can, when this thing is going to get dirty, I can just pick it up, replace it with a new one, and place it back in. So this is pretty cool. But I also have plates. So in these plates right here, for example, let's pick even this guy right here. This plate here, I can lift up, and it has little legs. So if I'm working on a tank, I can pick it up, place it right over here, do stuff, you know, clean it, whatever, and then I can bring it back and position it, or I can move it around if it's maybe too much light, too little light, you name it. All of this is done using my little frag rack revolution, which is what I have designed. Anyways, it's getting a little bit late. I don't want to overstay my welcome. So, like I said, I might do a few more of those live streams over the next few weeks, and we'll see where it's going to take us. But thank you for tuning in. I didn't do any announcement. I just pressed that button, and I think we had about 40 people show up at its peak. But I want to say thank you. We'll cover more questions next time, and come out to Niagara Coral Expo. I'll be there. Feel free to say hi. Pick up some coral, and I think I have a dead copepod here, which I feel bad about. Maybe he... Oh, no, he's still alive. That's good. I'll see you this Sunday, April 30th, Coral Expo in Niagara. Go visit treasurecorals.com and try out Aquatic Log app and go to aquaticlog.com, all of that good stuff. And I wish you all the best in your not so easy hobby. Maybe time to pick another hobby. All right. See ya. How do I turn this off?